physical descriptions and environmentals, what was going on that day in the environment, that type of stuff.
Okay, I will do. Yeah. Okay.
Extremely helpful for analysis.
Yeah. Okay. Hello,
If you get,
everyone, and welcome to my new show, Out of Nowhere. My special guest today is Kevin M. Day. Kevin is a 21-year Navy veteran and former operations specialist, senior chief petty officer, serving in and entered careers while homeported in San Diego and Hawaii. He completed 7 Western Pacific deployments and visited many other countries. That touched the sea between the West Coast and the United States and the Middle East. Can we please welcome Kevin to the show? Hello there.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for that special introduction. I appreciate it.
And thank you.
I should
I can
address
see everybody in
all
the
that.
I can see everybody. There's Steph in the chat room, Rebecca, Joanne, Mel. There's quite a few in the chat room, so that's quite nice. Don't forget, if you want to
You
send
guys-
any questions, just put it in capitals, and then I can pass it on to Kevin. I want
Yeah,
to
please
go.
do.
I want to go back now. I want to
Oh,
take
boy.
you back to the footage of the UFO encounter, the Tic Tac.
Oh boy, you had to go there, huh? Right on. No, I was joking. I was fully expecting. In fact, we had planned on it, right? So, many years ago now. Heck, that was coming up on 20 years, huh? Can you imagine?
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, this is October, and next month, in just over a month, will be 20 years to the day, right? USS Princeton, part of the Nimitz Strike Group. I was a senior chief petty officer at the time. Known for my expertise in air defense and in air intercept control. We were the guys and gals would launch aircraft off the aircraft carrier and take them to the intercept, and then make sure they got back home safe. And that was our job, and keep things safe the whole time. And I went to Top Gun school, so I had advanced training in weapons tactics, employment, and instruction. For my role. I was not a pilot. That's a completely different ball game. Hats off to those men and women that do that. So anyway, I was very senior, and oddly enough, this happened to be my last time underway on a ship ever. I had been on 8 different seagoing commands, 4 different ships, and this was my last time on a ship ever in uniform. And we were actually doing a graded exercise. It was my exercise. I had designed it for the air defense team. It was all briefed and planned and everything. So my role was a little bit different. I wasn't actually standing to watch at the console. I was wearing the headset, moving between the consoles, keeping notes for the grade and for lessons learned and for recommendations after we were done, that type of thing. And that was kind of the setup. We had the Nimitz out there, some other escort ships, and the whole scenario was we were going to go through a mock air defense exercise where notional bad guys would launch out of Miramar, California, and they would come at us. We were located in Whiskey 291 off the coast of San Diego, about 80 miles to the southwest. And there was a lot of other training going on, but this was our air defense exercise. And it was designed to come and attack us, essentially, right? And in air defense, let's say this is the aircraft carrier, it'll have stations set out in front of it, and everything is pre-designed in the sky, and everything has a Latin long and altitude. It's all pre-briefed. Everyone knows where they're going. In fact, they have call signs we'll use for them. So it's all secret. No one else knows where they are except for the people who are supposed to. Especially not the bad guys. And in this case, the role players from Miramar didn't know about it either. Anyway, we had been monitoring these strange aircraft. They were coming out of the low Earth atmosphere. And this was several days before the exercise was supposed to take place. And at that time, I had no aircraft airborne, so I wasn't really that concerned. We were just tracking and reporting, putting them on the data link, sending the data back to the beach. In case anyone was curious, they could see it. And I was frantically trying to determine what they were, because my main job was not only safety, but doing identification, especially off my own darn coast. And I'm, what in the heck are these things? All these years, I've never seen anything do this. They were coming down in groups of 5 to 10 at a time out of space, stopping about 80,000 feet off the east coast of Catalina Island, sit there for a little while. And then they would drop down as a group between 20 and 28,000 feet off the east coast of Catalina Island and just kind of sit there. And oddly enough, one by one, they would depart the main group and they would go right through my airspace. One at a time, real slow, 100 knots, which is real slow for what these things.
Well, it is, isn't it?
Right? Yeah. All by themselves, one at a time. And, you know, we tracked them on radar, and a lot of people went up on the bridge and looked at them through their own naked eyes and also through binoculars and everything, watching these things, right? And oddly enough, Bob, I got to tell you, there was probably 100 of these contacts altogether over a course of 10 days. But you know something strange? Every single one of them disappeared off the same place in the sky on my radar. And that was about 60 miles north of Guadalupe Island off the coast of Mexico. And there's a whole nother story associated with that. And I'll come back, I'll loop back around to that part later. But anyway, getting back to the exercise. So we tracked these things for several days before. And maybe I'd seen, maybe, I don't know, I think it was a couple groups, maybe just tens of objects so far.
Yeah.
Which had me concerned because I was going to, and now we had aircraft on the aircraft carrier on the Nimitz, and we were going to do the air defense exercise. And Captain Smith comes down to combat. I said, "Hey, sir, you know," I'm shaking my head, I've been tracking these things for days now, and I have no idea what they are, and I'm very concerned about safety of flight. I highly recommend we suspend the exercise. We go ahead and launch an aircraft, and I take them out to see what they are. Because I don't know. I've looked everywhere, high and low, made all the calls I can make, and I have no idea. He said, "You're right, Senior Chief, intercept VID."
Do you think they were curious about you?
Huh?
Do you think they were curious about you?
It's hard for me to go there. Right. It really is. Yeah. But I will tell you, there's been some weird things that have happened. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
So anyway, we take him to the closest contact, right? And it gets into the same piece in the sky. We call it a merge plot. And at the time, there were about maybe 20,000 feet, 20,000 feet. And whatever this thing was, dropped straight out of the sky down to about 50 feet above the water in 0.78 seconds.
Good golly.
Yeah. And I saw this was a remnant on the computer. Information, they forgot to erase it when they erased all of our stuff. This survived somehow. So I saw this number. That's where that number came from, 0.78. So he goes, Commander Fravor in Fast Eagle 01 goes chasing it down, gets co-altitude, and this thing recognizes him. And it recognizes him. And that, I'll tell you why. It gets into a dogfight, and he goes, we have the comms in the overhead radio. It's like, "Oh my God, I'm engaged. Crying. And right then, pap, disappeared right in front of him. Those are his words.
I can imagine so. Yeah.
My air controller, he's sitting below me, right? And I'm watching everything, keeping notes, right? And he gets on the radio and says, "You're not going to believe this, sir, but that thing is now at your cap station." That thing went to Commander Fravor's cap station. It had 8 to pick from, and it didn't go close by. It went precisely on it, lat long in altitude. So
So what did you make of it then?
Well, I didn't know what to think. Who would? My mind was open, you know. So he comes back to the aircraft carrier and he stops and he marks on spot. And he comes on the radio. Our call sign was Charlie. He says, "Charlie, we may have a downed aircraft. I'm marking on top." And we're like, "Oh, shit." We stop everything, go into search and rescue procedures, right? And then he comes right back on the radio and says, "Oh, disregard marine life." And I'm like, "Oh, shit, maybe that's what it is." Or whatever this thing is was here to say hi to the whales. I mean, I was scrambling. My mind was open. And it went back to the fact that in November, the gray whales migrate from Catalina Island to Guadalupe Island. It's the only thing that could make sense to me. It was that bizarre. Your mind goes there. I mean, you're struggling to make sense. So
Down to be.
That's what an adaptive type of logic does. You know, I didn't have anything to deduce. I didn't have any type of inductive data to work with. So I went with abductive logic is all I could do, you know, and I'm still using it.
I know, because
and it's paid off. Yep.
I know there's a question coming up soon.
And you asked something earlier, and I'm not religious. And people have asked me, am I a messenger? And I don't like that word. It's not appropriate.
Right.
But I do have a message. Now, there was a job on the ship in the Navy. It was called the messenger of the watch. And it would stand quarterdeck watches normally, or some other assigned position. And if you had to physically write a note and make sure it got to a person, that was their job to get it there, or make a phone call or communicate. And that's what I am. So if someone wants to call me a messenger, do it in that context.
Yes.
And my message is, if you encounter these things, it's going to change you. But do not be afraid. That was my job.
Yeah, it's very upsetting as well.
Well,
checking you back.
That's the hard part. You change. All of a sudden you're on this path in life, right? And all of a sudden you want to do something completely different. And inside you, you know it's right. But what about everyone around you? They don't get it. They don't understand.
No.
And so what happens to you? You end up struggling, and it aggregates. Little things happen to you, and it builds. They're just little micro things, if you will, and it reaches a certain threshold, and it manifests into fucking you up. And it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
No, that's my message. Don't be afraid. If you encounter these things and you start to change, things are going to be different now, I believe, because this is on the table. People are talking about this. People know it's real now. You can hear it at the grocery store.
Exactly.
You can. People are talking about it in a couple aisles over, and no one's looking at them weird anymore, right? Am I wrong? I mean, it's open.
Yeah, there's more people coming out now talking
Yeah,
about things.
if anything, they look out of interest. They want to hear what you're talking about. They're interested now. It's a different dynamic now. And also allow yourself. Let's say you're a veterinarian and you've been doing it for 18 years. You're well known. You're on a board and all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, for some weird reason, you want to pick up the bass guitar. You want to become a bass guitarist again. Do it.
Yes, I agree there. Totally agree.
And what I think's happening, Bob, is it isn't really changing us like you might think. I think it's just surfacing things that were already within us.
Excuse me. Yeah.
There's some kind of vibration that happens, and it brings stuff out. All of a sudden, you can write. All of a sudden, you can do mathematics. Maybe not the statistics part of it, but you definitely can get the concepts. You just intuitively can look at a piece of calculus and pretty much understand what it's telling, what it's saying. It's a story. If you understand it as a story, what it's actually trying to say and describe, then it's
exactly.
That's just one example. The music's the same way.
Rebecca's just come with a question. Kevin, if you could have a life without having the experience, would you choose that life? Thank you, Kevin.
The one that I just had, the journey? Oh, boy.
Yeah, if you had a life without having the experience, would you choose that life?
I feel so damn privileged. Are you kidding me? I look around the world, even now, people dying everywhere.
Yeah. It's horrible.
And then I look at myself and my journey. And I want to share it.
I know you do. And I'm glad you are sharing your story.
Yeah.
Gets out there.
Oh, not my story so much. I want to share my I don't even know how to say it. Life seems so fickle. You can be such a good person, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. But if we live our life in fear and end up not living it and wishing for something else instead of embracing the one we have, then maybe we're making a mistake.
Kevin, who were them people who boarded the craft after all this? Did they go through everybody?
I didn't hear you, sir.
Oh, sorry. It's all right. Who boarded the craft and who wanted to investigate, talk to everybody about what they've seen?
Who does? I'm not understanding.
When, after everybody's seen these Tic Tacs, did anybody from outside come and talk to you about what you've seen or what you shouldn't have seen?
No, that's kind of an odd story, actually. When the Princeton pulled back into port, I immediately transferred off the ship. I already had orders, and I went to work for the admiral over on the island, Coronado Island, Comav Airpac. And I've heard that the people that remained on board had to sign non-disclosure agreements because of this whole thing. I never did. I never did sign one, was never asked to sign one. No one ever asked me anything about it.
Right.
And that was part of the problem because my main job was safety of flight. And here we just canceled an air defense exercise. And how much did that cost? Here we had been planning it for months, spent all that time and energy to go out there and do it, and it got canceled because of safety. So I thought that was pretty important. So I tried to describe what happened to people in meetings. Hey, folks, we have a safety of flight issue here off the coast. But when I tried to describe what happened, all anyone heard was UFO. Put yourself back in those shoes in the early 2000s and before. If you said UFO, what was it like? So in meetings, I would get weird looks down the nose and people walking out of the room and no one wanted to hear it, And time came for me to retire or stay in, and I already been at sea for 18 years. And if I stayed in, I was going back to sea. So I said, "Nah, I'm done." So I got a Department of Defense job, and the same thing happened again. And by this time, I was real careful who I told, but the folks I did tell it to, same reaction. So I got upset, and I didn't know what to do. So I like to write. So I went back home. This was 2000, 2009 timeframe, 2008, 2009. And I decided to write a fictional story about the Tic Tac encounter. And I did. I call it The Seer. And I wrote some other fictional stories to go along with it. And I got a hand binding press, and I made a handmade book myself at home. I printed it out on the printer, made a book, and I published the book in the Library of Congress. And I got a Library of Congress control number. And that my little book in Congress ended up becoming evidence many, many years later that the Tic Tac encounter actually did happen. Because how can you explain the presence of my book in the Library of Congress in February of 2009 with the Library of Control number describing the entire Tic Tac encounter, using the word Tic Tac, using the word Princeton, using the word Nimitz, using the word Fast Eagle, describing the whole exercise. And that's why I did it. No one would believe me, so my mad plan was to plant evidence just in case the story ever became public, that there would be smoking gun evidence that really happened.
What about Project Blue Book?
As you know, Bob, it was before our time, and I've been honestly more focused on the future than I have been on the past in regards to UFO subject, because the past UFO subject is sort of kind of tainted, if you will.
It can be now, yeah.
It's been so tread on and trod over. You're not really sure what source, what to trust. So my leanings are to get new information and you use new protocols and new understanding and new research and see what happens. And at the same time, not forget the past, because there is a heck of a lot. There's a heck of a lot of information in even ancient documents about things in the sky.
Yes, but
very, very accurate descriptions. Yep.
When you look at it now, what are actually them up there? Are they aliens or are they ours?
Maybe they're both.
Oh, from the future.
Yeah, you bet. Or, there's another. Well, let me finish a point I was going to make earlier, because it circles back to what we're talking about now.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. When this thing happened and this object, whatever it was, let's call it a thing, went to Fast Eagle Combat Air Patrol Station, their CAP station we had talked about with Commander Fravor when he intercepted the first one remember when I was telling you?
Yeah, I do.
The ADX, right? Yeah. Just want to make sure we're on the same page with that.
Right.
I had often wondered, why? Why did it go to his cap station? What was that all about? Why?
Yeah.
What? And years later, that made sense to me because after Commander Fravor went public, a group of us from the ship, and we had a couple quantum physicists from New York University, an astrophysicist. We had a movie producer, Caroline Corey, that funded the whole thing. We had a technologist that's actually extremely talented at what he does, and we rented a flat rooftop off the coast on Huntington Beach. And we had about a 20-foot long table with all kinds of science gear set up on it. And I have to tell you, we went there in the month of November on a wing and a prayer. We were about to look stupid. Okay. Here we are, we're all up on this roof in Huntington Beach. And even the sheriff comes over and says, "What are you guys doing?" Almost laughing, right? But we explained it to him. He left, kind of chuckling probably. But you know what happened?
What?
5 radar detectable objects showed up over Catalina Island.
Oh, brilliant.
We recorded over 600 hours of data, triangulated positions on radar from 3 different locations. We had one on Catalina, one on the roof, and we had a mobile unit. So we were able to triangulate these objects and record them with all kinds of equipment that I briefly talked about. So during this, I was standing there looking at I was thinking we got 2 gamma ray spikes, 2 back to back, which is about 1,000,000 to 1 odds.
Right.
Gamma ray, that's a very high intensity energy from space, right? Usually, not only don't you detect them, but to get 2 of them back to back detected too, it's pretty rare. The physicist told me it's about 1,000,000 to 1 odds, and I'll just go with that. Anyway, I was standing there checking it out, and he says, "Kevin, I know you don't really know what you're looking at, but I have a question for you." I said, "What's that, sir?" This was Matthew Zydaugas from New York University. I said, "What's that, sir?" And he says, "Do you think intention has anything to do with this?" And I looked at him, and I had a flashback. That object knew my intentions to go to that cap station. Right? It's hard to argue otherwise. And that object knew my intentions to be on that roof.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what came to my head. Whether it's true or not, who knows? Okay. But I kind of have to go with it. So I told him, I said, "Yeah, and I think intention has everything to do with it." And Bob, I got to tell you what's happened. I think that was the whole message, intention. Not only that, why did they come here now? Because it has to do with AI, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
But think about this. It just kicked my butt for a long time. Intention. What could that? Why would they have a message about intention? What does that mean? And one day it just occurred to me. And let me walk through the logic here, because I think it'll make a lot of sense.
Yes, please. Yeah.
In fact, I have math equations to back it up. Okay. Is the universe intentional? And the truth is, I don't know. And because I don't know, I have to say 50-50. I have to toss a coin. I mean, what else can I do? If you can tell me it's 51-49, then go for it.
No, 50-50.
50-50. I don't have anything else I can do with it unless I just say it's a unknown unknowable. And just, okay, forget about it. No, I'm going with 50-50. Thank you. Anyway, so that's actually pretty powerful if you think about it. Because you think about it, 50% chance. I'd like to have that odd in Vegas, 50% chance it's intentional. Okay, let's go with that. let's say the universe is intentional. Okay, next question. What happened to the intender? Did the intender survive or commit a cosmic suicide? Again, I don't know.
No, we don't.
I have no idea. 50-50. Okay, let's say the intender survived. In what form? Active or benign? Is just hanging around, never to do anything, just to laugh at us? I don't know. 50-50.
You're right in what you're saying, because I've always said.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah, Bob.
Let me finish. This is important.
Thank you.
This is a chain of logic. Let's say it survived. In what form? Active or benign? 50-50. I don't know. Let's say active. Let's go with that. Okay, now the real question, Bob, is I know there's 4 fundamental forces in the universe. We've got gravity, we have strong nuclear, we have weak nuclear, we have electromagnetism. Now, dang it, if intention created all those by creating the Big Bang, then gosh darn it, then intention itself has to be a fundamental force. We have 5. And you can engineer stuff off the force of intention, just like you can electromagnetism. And in fact, you can equate them. I've created equations that equate directly intentions with the force, the other 4 forces, with an equal sign between them.
Yeah.
And I can share them with everybody. In fact, I've developed the base equation, and I'm not a mathematician, but you know how I did it is I went to ChatGPT and I pre-trained my models with my intention protocols, and I let it help me with the calculus. And my calculus is based on things like Mandelbrot set. I mean, I used existing equation sets, like the second law of motion. I mean, my basic, in other words, my base equation, the intention equal a specific intention plus a scale of intention plus a function of the other fundamental forces. It's that simple. It integrates with everything I've ever tried it to, and it applies with everything I've ever tried it to. Everything from politics to astronomy. It perfectly aligns and it streamlines itself with any type of equation you want to integrate with it. It is truly a unifying equation. Now, think about the odds of this. Here it was in 2004. This message of intention arrived, followed up by an affirmation on that roof in SoCal, where I finally understood. And now AI gets on the scene just in time for me sitting on my couch over the summer to actually self-manifest the mathematics that actually describes intention. Intention itself self-manifested the equations that describe it. Because I'm not a physicist and I'm not a mathematician. But you should see my equations. I have shared my work with some, and I won't drop any names, I don't have permission, with some pretty notable real physicists and real mathematicians. And after I had explained my premise, my priority about the universe being intentional, and my logic, and the fact that it's based on other known equation sets, some of which they developed, it's crickets now. You should see some of the stuff I did. So then I took my base equations and I used them, and I built frameworks in ChatGPT that actually calls in my equations So now I'm able to get a, let's say in the email, I get someone's UFO report,
Yeah.
which is what I do now. I'm a UFO analyst, right? All I have to do is copy their entire verbology on their email and then paste it into my chat box. And I say, analyze using Dave's framework. And within 0.78 seconds, it'll totally break it down, including course, speed, latitude, longitude, all the different dynamics, the environmentals and the whole 9 yards. It'll give you charts, graphs, and everything. It'll totally digest your simple email report and turn it into something that's really, really useful now.
Yeah, that's good stuff, is that? You know, if you look at some things, some sightings, they might happen in July every year or July every year. And I suppose you can look at that and think, well, we're going to be up there or got a certain place at July the 9th or something like that. It seems to happen in years gone by, always in June or July. Do you look at all that data as well?
I haven't focused on that yet. That's an interesting perspective. Do you have any theories about why?
Yeah, because somebody, I write everything down. If I have a sighting, I write it in my diary. And somebody said to Paul years ago, he said, I want you to go look back and ask Bob if he can write everything down, what day it was, what time it was, what month it was.
This summer and fall, huh?
Yeah, and see if I can come up with something. I thought, well, it was worth looking into that. So I've started writing it all down in some papers.
Send me what you got and I'll run it through the framework.
Yeah.
Because the framework does analysis is like that. One of my frameworks, I call it, it's called FILS, but it's called Future Intentions Likelihood Scale. And it uses a Mandelbrot set, and it'll actually take an initial condition and it'll anticipate predictions on the other end, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you there as well. Yeah. Yep. You know, because I know what you're doing now, it does help you for the future, really.
No, by me helping you is you helping me, because I'm able to kick the tires on my frameworks and fine tune them a little bit. So Bob, if you give me challenging projects, believe me, it doesn't take me but a second to do it. So, right. But then I learn, you know, I learn about the framework more. Have you messed with AI a little bit, Chat GPT?
I haven't yet. No, have you?
Well, just so you know, when you do get on it, the next time, let's say a day later, you jump back on it again, right? It's going to remember you from the last time you're on it, so you don't have to recreate the wheel every time. You can kind of pick up where you left off, because you're pre-training it, to use the actual name for it. You're actually pre-training the model to respond to you. It's a brand new technology, and don't be afraid of it. I mean, it takes some getting used to. In fact, I have to be honest, Bob, when I avoided it myself for a while, but you know how I kind of warmed up to it? Humor. I finally made myself just jump on it, and I noticed it was
is it helping you? Is it helping you?
It didn't seem to be humorous at all. It just was kind of dry and academic. This was a year ago or so, right? So I started teaching it humor. I actually started teaching a little chat box how to be more humorous, and it seemed to work. I don't know. It kind of got me interested in the whole thing.
Right. One of the other questions is, why is there so many sightings now, or UFOs, or the hours?
Well, that's a good question. Why now, right? But I mean, doesn't it kind of seem that way since 2004, that this whole UFO UAP thing's kind of heated up a little bit? Is that all of our imaginations? I don't know. But let's say it's a valid observation. And now the question becomes, why now? Well, what's really changed?
Nothing really.
Well, AI is here.
Yeah, true. Yeah, AI's here.
So isn't it possible that that's why they're here? To help us through the hurdle of AI? Because if you think about it, if these things are more evolved than humanity, non-human intelligence, right? Let's just assume that it's more evolved than us. That at some point in their own evolution, they too had to get past the AI hurdle, correct?
Yeah,
Unless
maybe. Yeah.
unless they were always a steady state and never evolved at all, they would have had to get past the AI hurdle too at some point in their own evolution. I'm assuming so, right? So maybe it didn't go that well for them, and they had to learn some hard lessons. It's just possible, They're trying to help us through this so we don't end up killing our freaking selves.
I was going to say that as well because there's wars going on at the moment. They're escalating nearly every day from another country's getting involved.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch. I'm becoming a great music fan. No, it's I can't help but watch, just having invested so much time over there personally. And I don't paint with a broad brush. Like, I have to tell you, like, one of my best friends in junior college years ago now was Iranian. And he used to tell me about his culture and stuff. And the people there, the actual common people like you and us and people listening, good, decent people, I know it's hard for some people listening to maybe accept, but it's true. And it's also true that there's, I don't know, I hesitate to use the word the majority, but there's quite a significant number of Iranian common people that don't like their government too much. But every time they speak out, they get their internet pulled. Or, 500 of them get killed. Like what happened, when was that? 4 years ago? There was a protest over the woman's, yeah, I apologize, forgot the name. I don't want to disrespect it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Their head covering, yeah.
If you were going back a little bit, if somebody wanted to get involved,
hijab. It's called a hijab, I believe, unless I missed.
Yeah, if anybody wanted to get involved studying UFOs again, what would you advise them to do?
Re-ask the question, please.
If somebody wanted to get involved looking into UFOs and Tic Tacs and all that, what would you advise them to do?
That's a great question. Go to www.madar.site. MADAR.SITE. Madar.site. Now, what Madar is it's a worldwide network of like-minded UFO researchers, UAP researchers, and it's actually pretty cool. We're all networked on the internet, and in your home you have a little box, maybe a little bit bigger than the mouse right here, right?
Yeah.
And it's got all kinds of really cool gear in it. And what it does is well, first of all, when UAP activity is been noticed in the local area, it tends to create a local disturbance in that local magnetosphere. So what this little box does is it monitors. It's passive. It doesn't radiate anything. It's passive. It just sits there, and it sits there and monitors your local magnetosphere. And when it detects a large enough anomaly and it's set at a threshold, and the whole thing's filtered out for background radiation like microwave and AM radio and blah, 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 right? But if you get a strong enough anomaly in the magnetosphere, it sends out an alert into the network, and you get it on your local speaker. It sends out what we call a code blue, which is just the color of the light, right? So we ended up calling it code blue. But if you got it set loud enough, it'll wake up the Sphinx, right? And the whole idea is you grab your cell phone or your cameras or your video equipment, and you run outside and get a picture of the UFO. That's the whole idea behind it.
Right.
So now we have actual images married up with data, because the little box is collecting data, lots of it too. Environmental data, atmospheric data, magnetic deviation, magnetic compass deviation. I mean, it collects a whole. If you go to madar.site and go to the data section, it'll pull up a spreadsheet of all the data fields, and anyone that can access it, you can go right now and check it out, right? So all these little units all over the planet are updating their systems, and I think Fran Ridge at headquarters has it set to, during an actual code blue, it's once per second now. So if you actually get an alert, it'll update the system once per second now. So it's pretty, we got a real-time, near real-time, a real-time and a near real-time system going back to headquarters. And if we have a significant UAP encounter where there's actual image and there's actual data, Fran Ridge and a special team has been dedicated. It's a flyaway team, and they'll fly out to wherever you are, Bob, and they'll come and do an on-the-ground investigation.
All right.
So if you want to get involved as a researcher, that's my recommendation. Just go check out madar.site, and it's pretty inexpensive to get started, to get the little box. I think that it's like $240, and you're in. This is a mouse. I don't have the box with me. It's just the mouse. It's over there hooked up. I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's so cool.
Well, it has a magnetometer, so once you have it set, you don't want to jiggle it because it'll set off a false report and give Fran a nightmare back at headquarters. Right?
So where's the headquarters?
Yeah. Where's he set up now? He's moved around. New Jersey. I'll have to double check it. You can go to the website and and check it out. But anyway, we are affiliated with MUFON, and it's a well-connected. And once you're in that group, you're going to see a lot of familiar names. Put it that way. Yep. And who knows? Who knows? I mean, you don't have to be. You could be just, you're happen to be a stay-at-home dad, and you're the one cooking the dinners and getting the kids off to school, and mom's an attorney in town. You're a part-time researcher and taking care of the dogs and family and cutting the grass. And that's pretty much your extent, right? And all of a sudden your alarm goes off, and you just happen to be the one to catch the UFO. It could happen that simple.
That's brilliant.
And now you're the hero because you're the one that did it.
That's
how fickle this thing could be, man. It
right.
Doesn't have to be anyone special.
I'm going to say, Kev, how did you get involved with it then?
Well, the one thing led to another, with first my book, it was discovered in the Library of Congress. Lou Elizondo and Tom DeLong from they were off branch of the CIA at the time, and then they quit that and they became their own To the Stars Academy, right? So anyway, they tracked me down here at home, and I was discovered, put it that way, as a key witness on board the ship when it happened, and then somehow they knew about my book. So anyway, they came here and discovered me. Anyway, my name got out there, and then we did the movie, and then my Facebook page started growing. It's up over 6,000 now followers. And when I first started, I had maybe 100. It's not the type of thing where I'm like lobbying myself. People are interested in the subject.
Yeah.
I mean, where else are they going to go? I mean, they can't go to government. So, I mean, people are longing for this type of stuff, right? So it's not me. It's just the subject, you know. So one thing led to another, and I hadn't even ever heard about Madar, you know. And then I get a email one day from Fran Ridge, and he says, "Hey Kev, I don't know if you ever heard about Madar, but we kind of want to bring you on board, and I want to tell you about it because you know we thought you might be a good choice for getting us some more Madar operators." So that was my job for a long time, was in these little units. I mean, a Madar operator isn't
Excuse me.
the way Fran Ridge describes it is not something we're going to give away under Christmas trees. We do want a fairly serious operator. If, in other words, if the alarm goes off, you know, be pretty much prepared to go out and get a picture. Otherwise,
Exactly.
otherwise the whole system doesn't work. We got the data, but now we don't have the picture, and everybody's like, "Damn, I wish you would have gotten a picture." You know, so my job was to kind of sit back on Facebook, and when what I thought like was going to make a really good operator because they showed real desire, like you're doing now, right? Then I would reach out to them and approach them with the idea, and usually they came to me, and then I would send them over to Fran, and he would take it from there. So I was kind of a liaison. Now at this point, I've passed the torch, and there's a new person about to be named that's going to take over for me. And I'm moving on to more of an analyst role. So I'll be doing UAP analysis for Madar and another outfit.
Right.
Yep.
So you've got all the equipment at home now then.
Everything I need at the moment, yes. I don't really anticipate a whole bunch more.
No.
Yep.
Did you enjoy writing your book then?
Oh yes. In fact, I'm writing another one now.
Oh right.
I mean, someone asked if I could change, you know, I could change my life and do a different experience. In fact, it's occurred to me that you know we don't live forever, so every day is kind of precious, you know. So I figured I better write about the whole journey.
Did you find it quite hard to sit down and go back into it?
It's taken me a year now because it's hard.
Yeah. Going back and reliving the moment. But it's nice,
well,
but
there's lots to the post Tic Tac story that I haven't talked about with you.
right.
There's lots that's happened. I mean, that's what I was telling. There's all kinds of rabbit holes. I mean, we could literally talk for hours about this subject and the things that have happened in little sidebar stories, and that's why I'm trying to write a book about the whole thing because it really is.
There's more to come in the next book.
The parts of it are just unbelievable.
Yeah. And I suppose at that time you have to keep quiet about it.
Well, not so much anymore.
Now you can talk about it now.
Yeah, but back then it was, as time went on, I became more and more reluctant because I just wasn't getting anywhere other than losing my job.
Yeah. True. But you're a lot happier now doing this, what you're doing now.
Yeah, because if I would have stayed on that other path, assuming I was hadn't retired yet, I would have went the whole Department of Defense thing, of course, which would have taken me in the whole direction of the air defense thing that's going on now. You see where I'm going with that? I mean, that would have been my kind of my natural path. Sitting here now, it's sure a lot of money and wealth would have come with that. I mean, those folks don't work for free, right? Know what I mean? So having to choose all that now and being able to be here back in my hometown,
Correct. Helping your wife as well
Yep.
with the dogs.
I know my choice.
Good for you.
Besides, it's too late now. Why?
um,
Why? I
about
mean,
5 minutes left.
just live. You know. I mean, go with what you did and live. Live for now, this moment.
Yes, live today.
Yeah. 'Cause
Get on with life.
there was a whole
Do what
journey I
you-
went through, Bob.
Yeah, you've had an
It
awful
really is.
journey.
Now,
Look to the future and just get on with it.
We're coming up on an hour. How much time did you reserve for us?
About 3 minutes left.
Oh, that's it. So let's do it again. There's some more parts to this journey I'd like to tell you about. And,
Yes.
And beyond that, email me because I'd like to share my framework with you.
Yeah, that'd be good. I will do. Yeah.
Especially if you have some old emails with cases on them. Send me
I'll have a look.
Send me the whole darn case on email. I mean, if it's got like positions and times and altitudes and that type of information, man, I can send you back a really, really cool report.
All right, then. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, or where can they get your books?
Amazon.
Are they on Amazon?
Yeah. Sailor's Anthology. Yep. Sailor's Anthology. Or they can contact me via email. Can you show my email in any way? I'll just put it in chat.
Yeah, just put it in chat. Yeah.
Or if somebody else wants some analysis done, since you're here, once again, you're helping me by letting me help you. So send me some analysis on email. And it could be about anything. Don't have to be about UAP. You make up something.
About anything.
Anything. It gives me a chance to kick the tires. There you go.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, you take care of yourself.
Let me put my Facebook.
Right.
That's my Facebook address. Kevin.day.10048. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. See you next time, Bob.
We're just about up then. Yeah, you take care of yourself.
Okay, I will. All right, bye.
Bye. My guest on Friday, before everybody goes, is Trey Hudson on Friday. Best-selling author, adventurer, master storyteller. He's appeared on dozens of radio shows. We'll be talking about the Meadow Project. I think we spoke. That's south of Skinwalker Ranch. It's been well received in the Ice Strangers research community. So that's Friday, the 4th of October at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, and 7 p.m. in the UK. So I'd like to say good night and God bless. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. Thank you to Kevin Day. It's so nice for everybody to be in this. Rebecca, Steph, Lee, Joanne, Star. There's been loads in today again. But thank you again. I love you being in chat room. It's so nice. Good night and God bless, and see you on Friday, the 4th, with Trey Hudson. He's a great guy. We'll have lots to talk about. Bye for now. See you in the other side.